I'm Kevin Standlee. I do a lot of things in science fiction fandom. Among them right now is I am secretary of the board of directors of San Francisco Science Fiction Conventions Incorporated, a nonprofit Spanish 501c3 corporation in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's the parent corporation of what was ConOse, the 2002 Worldcon, 1993 Worldcon in San Francisco, next year's World Fantasy Con, and the group bidding for the 2001 WesterCon. In addition, I'm also...
Don't you mean 2011?
2011. I said 2001, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yes, the 2011 WesterCon bid.
Well, see, this is what happens when you do Fanish things for so many years.
Yeah.
The years just seem to mesh together.
That's right. Worldcon running adds years to your life. I feel like I'm 53 instead of 43. I'm also on the board of directors of CANSMOF, which is the parent nonprofit of Montreal's Worldcon.
Oh, cool.
And I was a director of UK 2005 Limited, which was the parent of the Glasgow Worldcon. People keep asking me to be on their boards of directors. It looks really impressive on your professional resume to say that you're a member of the board of directors of nonprofit corporations in 3 different countries. It doesn't pay anything, but it's good for prestige.
Well, you seem pretty prestigious, I guess.
Well, I try.
So, obviously, you've done a lot of work with Worldcons, and you're on the upcoming Montreal. You said you're on the board of their.
I am on the board of directors. I'm also I'm head of their business meeting, and I'm responsible for general oversight of the parts of the convention having to do directly with the World Science Fiction Society functions. That is the administration of the Hugo Awards and the selection of the Worldcon, and now of the NASFIC, because we'll be running elections for both of those. I'm not directly doing those last 3 jobs. I'm just the person managing those people. Okay.
Now, in case our viewers are like me and they were born under a rock and have no clue about anything, can you kind of explain how Worldcon works? Because it doesn't seem to be like most conventions where there's usually an actual organizing a legitimate business entity that controls it.
That's correct. Every Worldcon is independent of every other Worldcon. They are all standalone legal entities, usually nonprofit organizations or their local equivalents. In the United States, they are normally 501c3 charitable organizations. They are independent in that, for example, if a Worldcon loses money, it doesn't take down its neighbors. That's an example of it. There is no real parent organization. There is an organization called the World Science Fiction Society, and every member of every Worldcon is a member of the World Science Fiction Society, or WSFS, for that year. That's the only way to join WSFS, is either a supporting or attending member. And WSFS has no headquarters, it has no home office, and aside from a small committee that manages the intellectual property of the society, which is the service marks on things like Hugo Award and Worldcon, and also manages the worldcon.org and hugooawards.org websites, everything else is managed by the individual conventions, and therefore there's very little in the way of central management of the Worldcon. It's a very amorphous organization, but it's been going on now for 66 years. And its members really like being in a unstructured environment, even though it's not necessarily the most efficient. There's a certain parallel with the Olympic Games in that the International Olympic Committee doesn't actually run the Olympics. All it does is say, Beijing, you are now authorized to hold an Olympic Games. Now you do all the work.
Right.
But of course the IOC still retains oversight. In this case, there is no oversight. Each Worldcon does what it's authorized to do, which is hold a Worldcon and manage itself.
Okay. Well, that's actually pretty enlightening, because I didn't realize all that before.
Probably most people don't. It probably looks to them like there's a WSFS, and they probably assume, because most other ordinary conventions, even those that move around from place to place, seem to have some sort of parent that says, oh, well, we're going to stop you, or we're going to take charge of you, or tell you what to do. Worldcons actually don't tell, the Worldcon doesn't have a lot in the way of structured rules. It does have a constitution. The WSFS Constitution is online at WSFS, WSFS.org, but the Constitution primarily regulates the Hugo Awards. It has the definition of the Hugo Award categories, has the rules for choosing future Worldcons, and has rules for organizing the bylaws, and therefore there's a meeting at each Worldcon where any member of the con can come as they are a member. They can debate, they can vote, they can propose changes. but it doesn't have things in it like, the convention shall be 5 days long and shall be held under these circumstances and so on and so on. Like, it's all left up to the voters to choose places.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the convention that you're planning? Obviously, you can't tell me who the guests are because by tradition that's usually not done. But do you guys have a theme yet? Or
well, we're still working out exactly what the theme exactly will be. Maybe technology emphasis because of where we are in the Silicon Valley. I'm not certain of that really. We've been concentrating mainly on trying to get more people aware of WesterCon. WesterCon has shrunk in size over the last 10-15 years. Partially has gotten to the because people have many people who used to go to it have sort of drifted away, and the younger generation of fans may not even know it exists, especially in the larger metropolitan areas. Until recently, the Bay Area went for over 20 years without a WesterCon.
Wow.
There was one 2 years ago, sorry, in San Mateo, and it would be a relatively short time between them before, if we come back. San Mateo was last year, I'm sorry. Get so confused sometimes. So it would be a relatively short break between them, but we think that sort of makes up for it. We still think there's value in having a traveling Western North American convention that tries to get people from around the area rather than just being, here's the local con and you go to it if you live within driving distance.
Right.
But in order to do that, we need to make more of an emphasis on WesterCon as a gathering of the tribes convention and get people in our local area and in other areas in the region aware that it's out there. So that's been my focus, has been trying to rebuild brand awareness. How the convention will actually focus its programming, I'm not really sure of it right now, and you might want to talk to Glenn Glazer, our chairman, who would be more likely to be able to give you a coherent answer than I just did.
Okay. Well, good luck on that. On behalf of Pacific Fen Spotlight, we try to cover all West Coast, so we're certainly rooting for you.
Okay.
Do you have any, is there any current opposition in the 2011 bid?
No, there's nobody bidding for it for probably a very good reason, in that only locations in the central and northern portions of Western North America will be eligible to bid for that year. And the central and northern regions of Western North America currently have a couple of Worldcon bids, one out of Reno and one out of Seattle. And both of these bids, and considering that the Reno bid is chaired by someone from Portland, a really significant proportion of the people points, the organizational time and effort it would do to put on a bid, is tied up in a Worldcon bid for the same year that we're bidding. Should we win our bid, and then our Worldcon will be only 7 to 9 weeks before.
You mean the WesterCon?
WesterCon. Our WesterCon would be only 6, 7, 8 weeks before the Worldcon that year. So it would be, we're stepping in there because we really think there should be a WesterCon in the Bay Area again, but also because it was unlikely that anyone else in the West was going to be bidding.
That's true. Do you think you'll take a major hit regardless of who wins the Worldcon bid? Do you think you're going to lose a lot of patrons as a result because most people will save their money up for the Worldcon?
There may well be that, although still those people who live within the 1 day's driving radius, in particular the 1 easy day's drive, will probably not have quite as many people flying in from longer distances. On the other hand, I wouldn't be at all surprised if WesterCon ends up being one of those, given its timing, it may end up being one of those places where this is the last chance to get a lot of the people in one place before that Worldcon. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. It might be very presumptuous of me to say so. And there has been a joke that WesterCon is the summer SmothCon. SmothCon being the convention where convention runners get together, which is normally held in the winter.
Right.
But there is a certain truth to that, in that a lot of the people you see at WesterCon do include a fairly good number of convention runners.
This is true, and especially coming up on where you have a WesterCon in between two cities that's bidding for the Worldcon. I think actually you might not take as big a hit as you might, because both bids will likely be sending a lot of people down there for the last chance at bidding.
Yes, this will be the last that will be pretty much the last convention of significance for people likely to attend Worldcon. There are other conventions. There's Comic-Con, of course.
Oh yeah.
But it would be the last, if I call it, of the general science fiction as opposed to the specialized ones. Before us, it's traditionally basically the last point. It's, for example, usually about that time is when the Hugo ballot deadlines are approaching. It's your last chance to vote there. Mm-hmm. No matter where the 2011 Worldcon will be among the two sites bidding, we think there will be interest in both, and that will probably lead to some interest in our convention. And we certainly hope that we have a lot of good turnout from within the San Francisco Bay Area, because we will be located in no matter which of the locations we pick, because we are still evaluating sites in the city of San Jose, and there are several. San Jose itself has a lot of fan activity. It has some of the larger regional science fiction conventions, BayCon, and we think there'll be a lot of interest.
All right. Well, good luck with that, Kevin,
Okay.
and thanks a lot for chatting with us.
Thank you very much.
I scream and shout so you can hear. I tell you that the end is near. I still can't stand, I still can't think. You win me with my favorite drink. Give me that glass, though I feel asinine. And if I can't grump, I'll drink plum wine.